PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub Recap here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the 2024-2025 season, we are going to be discussing the most recent matchup where the Vegas Golden Knights took on the Anaheim Ducks. And, there was some good back and forth here. This is about the fourth time this season already where the Vegas Golden Knights and Anaheim Ducks have faced off. And I have good news that this is going to be, I think, the final time that they are going to be facing off this year. Yay. So there's going to be a lot to go over and plenty to discuss here on this show. And we're going to talk about all of that right here, right now. Now, I will say, with it being at T-Mobile Arena and being at the Fortress, this was a good game to watch, and there is a lot to go over, so we're going to talk about all of that in just a second here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Now, getting into the pregame notes, there is really no big update except for one, and that is going to be, since the game after this will be December 27th, and we are 2 days removed from it, 48 hours away, I want to say here on behalf of Vegas Hockey Hub, Merry Christmas to everyone watching all around the world. I hope you get to spend it with your family and your loved ones, and I hope that you get everything that you ask for the people who do celebrate it. So Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody there. That's our pregame notes when it comes to this. Now, we are going to get into starting lineup and everything in just a minute, but just wanted to very quickly put that in our pregame notes, and definitely Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody watching all around the world. Now, the starting lineup for the Vegas Golden Knights, and there was a bunch of changes compared to what happened in the most recent matchup against Seattle, as you're going to have Victor Olofsson and Jack Eichel on the first line. So you're going to have the two former Buffalo Sabres teammates being on that first line alongside your captain, Mark Stone. So Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, and Victor Olofsson on line one. You're going to have Tomas Hertl, William Karlsson, and Keegan Kolesar on that second line. Hertl and Karlsson we've seen a little bit before. Karlsson and Kolesar we've seen briefly in the past. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. Then you have Brett Howden, Tanner Lesniewski, and then Pavel Dorofeyev. So Howden and Dorofeyev being on the same line. And then because of the injuries to Ivan Barbashev and to Nicholas Waugh, Tanner Lesniewski still up from Henderson being in the NHL as of now. And then on the fourth line, Tanner Pearson, who's really been your fourth line winger for the majority of the year. Cole Schwindt, really been a center on the fourth line for the majority of this time. And then Alexander Holtz has really fit in on the bottom six as of late with your Vegas Golden Knights. Defensive pairings, this has been the same for really the last couple of weeks now. Shea Theodore and Brady McNabb, who have been your constants, defensive pairing over the last few years. Then you have Noah Hannafin, and you have Alex Pietrangelo, and then you have Zach Whitecloud and Nicholas Hague as your last pairing there. And then in net for the Vegas Golden Knights would be Adin Hill. Now, over the last 7 or 8 outings, he has done a really good job for the majority of the time here in Vegas. Let's see if he keeps that up with the Vegas Golden Knights. So this is going to be a fun episode talking about all of this, and this is going to be really good breaking down what they're doing here. And let's get into it here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. Now, getting into this game itself, early on in the first period, it was a 0-0 game for Vegas Anaheim, and there was a good scoring opportunity by Nicholas Hague, as King Kolesar would dish it over to Nicholas Hague. He would skate up the middle, make some dekes, some good solid moves there, and then he would skate right past John Gibson and would just barely miss getting past the blocker side of John Gibson. And then 4 or 5 bodies would try to get the puck, try to see if they could find it, try to tap it in, or try to get it out of the crease. But unfortunately for Vegas, this did not end up being a score despite the effort by Nicholas Hague. But yeah, like when it first happened and he was skating up the zone, trying to get a good shot there, it looked like maybe Nicholas Hague was going to score for Vegas, but it just did not happen. Also, Tanner Pearson had a chance to score early on, but the puck just got away from him there. Now, after a Ryan Strome penalty on your captain Mark Stone, Vegas would be on the power play, and the Vegas Golden Knights would not execute there. And then, unfortunately, tonight there was a very unfortunate performance for your defenseman Brayden McNabb, as he would suffer 2 penalties tonight. The first one happened in the first period. He would get a holding penalty for the Vegas Golden Knights. He would go to the penalty box. Fortunately for Vegas, the penalty kill was killed off, and that was really solid for them. So for that first one, for it being a holding penalty, that was really unfortunate for him. And then later on in the second period, he would get another penalty, this time an interference call. And fortunately for him, yet again, he did not let up a situation where Vegas would let up a goal there. So for Vegas, one compliment I will give is that they had 4 penalties tonight, and they went 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. So overall, 4 for 4 on the penalty kill, but for Brayden McNabb, this was just not the best performance tonight. I mean, even looking at his stat sheet, according to NHL.com, despite those penalties that he did have, you also have a situation where he did give over the puck in this game, and you also have to sit there and say in about 20 minutes of ice time, I mean, there really wasn't much I can say in terms of compliments. I don't even think he even had an assist tonight in this game. So for Brayden McNabb, that just ends up being a situation there. And overall, when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, really to start out this first period, there was not much in terms of fanfare, in terms of positivity that you could say happens there when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, an unfortunate incident did happen towards the end of the first period. Tanner Lesneski would get an interference penalty for Vegas after a unfortunate situation involving John Gibson. John Gibson would be hit up high. He actually would have to skate off a little bit. They would check his face and everything to make sure that he was okay. But yeah, so John Gibson potentially injured for Anaheim. We'll have to see what comes from that moving forward. But yeah, so that was a situation. You definitely don't want to see an injury happen to somebody, especially a goalkeeper like John Gibson. Now, towards the end of the first period, Tanner Pearson, with an assist from Keegan Kolesar, would make it a 1-0 game at the Fortress for the Vegas Golden Knights. So that was a real good situation for your Vegas Golden Knights to be able to get an opportunity to be up by 1 at the end of the first period. And that's what you're really looking for if you're the Vegas Golden Knights at that point. So yeah, Tanner Pearson, once again, ever since him being that PTO and him being added to the Vegas Golden Knights, he's been a good contributor to that fourth line, and he's doing a really solid job for Vegas. Now, for the second period, when it came to the Vegas Golden Knights, there was not much action in terms of goal scoring, in terms of opportunities to put the puck in the back of the net. There is not much notable stuff you can mention there. But the Anaheim Ducks did do something in the second period that was at least somewhat entertaining. and that was the amount of tripping penalties that the Anaheim Ducks were making happen. I mean, Leo Carlson, he tripped Jack Eichel. He goes to the penalty box about halfway into the second period. And then, about 2 minutes later, William Karlsson, he gets tripped, this time by Racco Gudis. So it was just kind of funny how it was just a tripping affair over there at Anaheim as the Ducks, 2 tripping penalties in a row, almost back to back on top of each other. So that was just really fascinating there. Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, unlike the penalty kill, who went 4 for 4 tonight, the Vegas Golden Knights went 0 for 3 on the power play. So very fascinating there when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, because special teams essentially was the reverse of each other. The penalty kill did fantastic tonight, whereas the power play was underwhelming. So that was an interesting part when it comes to what happened here involving the Vegas Golden Knights and what happened between Anaheim. Now, end of the second period, you're up by 1, and this is unlike majority of the season we've had, where the Vegas Golden Knights have been like the comeback kids. This is like the Knights comeback situation we've seen throughout the year, being up 1-0 at the end of the second intermission, and with 20 minutes left to go. It was interesting to see what was going to happen there at T-Mobile Arena. Now, to start out the third period, not even 90 seconds in, the Vegas Golden Knights would end up being tied as one of the young, established talent out there in Anaheim, Mason McTavish, would end up getting a goal for the Anaheim Ducks. And, he did get some help, Fabry and Gudis, with the assists there out there for Anaheim. McTavish, really part of that young core that's being established and being built from the ground up out there at the Ducks. And, it's not going to be this year. I mean, right now, the win-loss record for the Anaheim Ducks, 13 wins all on the year, so they have a losing record as of right now. But McTavish is definitely a right person to kind of, lead that mantle right now. So McTavish, he ties it up for Anaheim. And, being tied at 1 to start out the third period, it was looking like essentially whoever scores next, regardless of how many minutes are on the clock, if it's Anaheim or if it's Vegas, whoever was the next team that was going to score that goal was going to win this game out there at T-Mobile. And that's really what we saw, is that it looked like, this was going to be a situation where it's all about who's going to be next. And after a quick penalty from Keegan Kolesar, who we're definitely going to talk about later in this show, that game-deciding goal would come from Tomas Hertl. And Tomas Hertl, 10th goal of the season for your Vegas Golden Knights. He's doing a really solid job this year. And he would get some help from Shea Theodore and another person that we're going to talk about in just a minute. And, Tomas Hertl, I mean, this has been a guy who, his first full season being with the Vegas Golden Knights, and 24 points in 34 games, 10 goals, 14 assists. And, he had a 2-point performance tonight. He had a goal on this goal, and then he had an assist on the later goal, which we're going to talk about in just a minute or two. And for Tomas Hertl, he is really finding himself in Vegas, and it doesn't matter what line he's been on. I mean, he was on the second line tonight, but for the Tomas Hertl situation, great performance. I really like what we saw from him tonight. And speaking of that final assist, I do want to mention this. He is averaging over an assist per game, and that is Jack Eichel, 36 assists in the last 34 games. And I'm not going to sit here and say that he's going to have 85 assists or 90 assists, or, I'm not going to go to that level and say that he's going to keep up at this pace. But man, oh man, it would be definitely great for Vegas if he could find a way to have over 80 assists for the Vegas Golden Knights this year. I mean, he's really turned it up a step in the 24-25 season. Now, there might be an explanation as to why. Jonathan Marchessault, he was, one of the main goal scorers. He's no longer here. He leaves in free agency. So Jack Eichel, him really having to step up now and become that top guy. Barbashev, he's been doing well when he was in the lineup. He's been playing with Dorofeyev and he's been playing with Stone, and we saw with Victor Olofsson, him and Victor Olofsson, former Buffalo teammates. So I really like what we saw in this game from Jack Eichel, but I just wanted to quickly mention that 36 assists in 34 games, and that is fantastic. I'm so happy to see that. Now, with about 5 minutes left, the Vegas Golden Knights, they would get their insurance policy goal, and this would be the nail in the coffin for Anaheim, as Keegan Kolesar, with his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Tomas Hertl and William Karlsson. So, this second line really was productive tonight when it came to the Vegas Golden Knights. The combination of 55, 48, and 71, Hertl, Kolesar, and Karlsson. And, King Kolesar, career high before the season was 8 goals, and he has had 9 in 34 games. And it's really impressive to see how King Kolesar is continuing to progress as he gets into every year being here in Vegas. He went from being that young, bright-eyed, brand new guy who was in the AHL for a couple of years to now being an established everyday player with the Vegas Golden Knights. And for King Kolesar, I really like what we're seeing from him this year. And, overall, looking at what he's accomplished, 15 points already in 34 games. I'm really hoping that we're going to continue to see more of this as the season goes on. So for King Kolesar, career high in goals, and the Vegas Golden Knights picking up the victory at T-Mobile Arena. And that was a good 3-1 victory. And speaking of wins, I do want to pat him on the back here and give him a handshake and say congratulations. Bruce Cassidy, with this win, becomes the winningest coach in Vegas Golden Knights history. So Gerard Gallant and Pete DeBoer move on, and they're going to be lower on the charts now, as Bruce Cassidy is now the winningest coach in Vegas Golden Knights history. And considering that this is only year 3 of him being a head coach here in Vegas, that's definitely a round of applause. Congratulations to him. Now, here is the win-loss record for your Vegas Golden Knights, and they have done really stellar so far. Best record in the Pacific, one of the top 3 records in all of the Western Conference. And, when you look forward to what they are going to be doing next, the final 3 games of the year, San Jose, Calgary, and Montreal. So you have, a California team in the division. Then you have, a team out there in Alberta in your division. And then you're going to go out to Montreal and take on a team out there in the Eastern Conference on that final game of the year. So now, for player of the game, I'm going to go to Adin Hill because he was very stellar in net tonight. 31 saves out of 32 shots in this game. And, Adin Hill, over the last few weeks, he has really, been a solid, competent goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights. And, I've told people that when Adin Hill is on it, he will have about a month and a half stretch where he looks like a top 5 goalie in the NHL. And then there's some times where he'll spend a month, just making mistakes and letting up, 4 to 5 goals a night. So I'm very happy to see that he's doing that here now, and that he's, been putting up some real good statistics over the last month for Vegas. So overall, Adin Hill, happy to see that, and I like what we're seeing from him. So that was your player of the game for tonight, and this is Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the 2024-2025 season. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and until next time, have a good one. And go, Knights, go.
PR Connections Radio thanks you for watching this podcast. Check out more episodes of this show and our others at prconnectionsradio.com.